Music has been around for a long time. It defines the growth of a country. Music education is a huge industry. Yet, back in the olden days, music education was nowhere to be found in any university. The Faculty of Music UiTM is a place founded by our very own Professor Dr. Shahanum Mohd Shah. Her passion to see the future of music education is really inspiring. Although Prof. Dr. Shahanum studied overseas at her early stage of learning, she had never forget where she came from.
My name is Shahanum binti Mohd Shah. I was born and bred in Selangor, although for a few years we did live in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so basically, I started learning the piano because my mom was a pianist and she made the four elder sisters, to learn the piano. But I recall that I didn't really enjoy going for piano lessons. Perhaps the teacher had a reason to do with that, because she seemed to like to compare and etc. And I was like, really the last hope for any person who want to pursue a career in music. But then when I joined primary school, I started joining a music ensemble, that is the Angklung ensemble. And then eventually when I joined the secondary school, my friend asked me to try out for the school band. So I went, not intending to join, but I just went actually more to accompany her. But somehow I got hooked and I joined the school band, Asunta School Band actually. So I was selected to play the trumpet. And actually during those 5 years, I also joined outside activities, like for example, orchestra. At that time, it was called Orchestra Symphony Muda. Eventually, it became the National Symphony Orchestra. And I had so many activities involved. I was involved in so many musical activities back then. So I think then I started to feel inclined to wanting to make music my career option. Unfortunately, my father was not very happy. I think it was not that he didn't trust music as a career, but I think because at that time, you must understand that there were no universities in Malaysia offering music. It was pre-UiTM. It was pre-ITM for that matter. So the only place I could go was overseas. And I think he wanted security because, I guess he was afraid that when I came back, I might not be able to get a job in music. He wanted me to say, why don't you do business and then maybe take music as a career? But I was very stubborn. And thankfully, my mother also supported my career choice, being a pianist herself, because she actually wanted to be a pianist, but her father, being a doctor, wanted her to be a doctor. So, I guess in a way, I was realizing her dreams. So anyway, after SPM, I left for Australia, Adelaide, Australia. I was there for 5 years. The first year to do my matriculation at school, and then the subsequent 4 years I was at the university to do my bachelor's degree in music performance and an extra year for the music performance. And then I came back for a few months because I decided that I wanted to pursue music education itself. So for me, music education is best pursued in the United States because music education started in the United States. Now, if for example you see UK, it is music and education, not music education. Alhamdulillah, I managed to get a scholarship again from ITM, Young Lecturer Scheme, to continue my studies in masters. So I went there for 2 years. I came back, and of course, being a Young Lecturer Scheme scholar, I had to serve the university. I had a 14-year contract for 2 degrees. Few years down the line, I managed to get a scholarship, a staff scholarship to pursue my PhD. So Alhamdulillah, at that time was the time where not many people were vying for scholarships. Well, especially because at that time, music was under the School of Art and Design, Kajian Seni Lukis Seni Reka. So there were only 3 of us and only 1 of me who was pursuing a degree in music. So I went off again to the United States, Indiana University, Bloomington, to do my PhD in music education. I came back 4 years later. I came back and started back in the faculty of, at that time it was the Faculty of Education. I guess from then on, I started to take on a lot of administrative roles. So since I came back from my PhD until today, I think a bulk of those years have been taken up in administrative position of some sort. So that's a little bit about my background. basically you have to have passion for the field. That is one thing that you have to have passion. And you shouldn't go into a career option anyway, because, especially something like education, because you want a job. Yeah? So, you really have to have passion for the field, and you also have to have a zest for learning, because learning never ends. Yeah. So, for example, I consider myself a sponge. So you might say I have a PhD, I'm a professor, etc. But for me, it doesn't mean that I know everything. Yeah, there's still so much to be learned in many ways. Even for me now, holding an administrative post, every day is a new something. Every day you're learning something new. Yeah, so you need to have that zest and that passion, so that you're continuously driving yourself. Then of course you have to build yourself with the correct characteristics and personality that goes along with being an educator. Yeah, so for example, understanding the psychology of the students, being up to date with the latest teaching skills and innovation. So for example, now with the pandemic taught us that we are moving towards the technology. Technology is going to be here forever, especially now with the era of IR 4.0. So you continuously need to upskill and reskill yourself. You cannot be complacent. So that's another thing. So also you have to keep on building your knowledge and your skills, etc., so that you're continuously improving yourself. And being an educator, for me also, especially in the university, you have to remember that our responsibility is not just for teaching. Teaching and supervision is just one part of the triangle for me. The other part of the triangle is the research, publication, innovation, because that's after all what a university's role is: to create knowledge, to generate knowledge, and to share that knowledge. And that comes to research. So if you're just teaching in your class, there's no way that anybody else out there, for example, is going to know what is the latest technology, or or what can kill cancer, for example. Yeah. And then the third part of the triangle is your service. Okay, so the service, whether be it to your department, to the faculty, to the university, and to the community, and even to the field. Yeah, because again, being in the university, we should be sharing that knowledge with the community. So, for example, now in the university, we have what we call SULAM, service learning for the students, whereby they go out to the community, because you have to share and you have to engage the students in sharing what they learn. So that's what I feel are the important characteristics of being a good educator. So it's not only in your knowledge and skills, it's in your teaching skills, it's your research skills, and your, generating and creating new knowledge, and also the service to the community, because that's what I feel is the role of an educator, especially in a university. Basically, I'm involved in the gamelan, and how I got started was also unexpected. Yeah, because as I mentioned just now, my music education is totally in Western music. And then when I came back and started joining the university, teaching the music program, I realized that I did not know anything about my own traditional music, because the course is offered and yet I cannot speak about it. Fortunately, my friend, coincidentally, Complex Budaya Negara was conducting traditional classes in various different types of Malay traditional music, and she said, "Do you want to come and join? Let's go and learn." So I did. Yeah, I registered and I did, and I guess the rest is history, because since then I got hooked on gamelan. Yeah, not only in its traditional version, but eventually when I joined the group Gamelan Club, which was under Sunita Fernando, which eventually became Rhythm in Bronze. Yeah, they started to play contemporary music, and I thought, okay, this is something which needs to be shared with the community, because so many of us do not even know our own traditional music. Not only Malay, Chinese, or Indian, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because if you look at the history of Malaysia, and including music education in Malaysia, a lot of what was in the school back then was Western music, because of the British occupancy. So that transition from their music to popular music, just totally bypassed traditional music. So that is why there was a lack, especially in my era. There was nothing, or maybe I had angklong, tapi that that was just something small. But now, fortunately, in the school system, it is there, but still there needs a lot to be done. A lot needs to be done when it comes to trying to disseminate and expose our younger generation to traditional music. So I continued that. Eventually, I started. I didn't start. I continued leading a group which was Gamelan Club. Yeah, it was an outside group, and this group was dedicated more for people who were interested in learning the gamelan, but not necessarily having any background. So, you don't know how to read music, it didn't matter. You had never played the gamelan, it didn't matter. We will teach you. So we even had students who diligently would record the music and listen, and that's how they learn. But the enjoyment that they got out of participating was, I think, rewarding enough. So then I decided, unfortunately, I couldn't continue with that group because the gamelan set that we used belonged to Five Arts Centre, and they started charging. Sorry, it was Actor Studio, not Five Arts Centre. They were charging for the space, they were charging for the instrument, and then, people started working. People who were working, was difficult for them to come together. So I decided, okay, I should do something for our own students. Yeah. So I developed the Gamelan Club. I started the Gamelan Club, Faculty of Music Gamelan Club. Even though we are not totally active because it's more like sporadic when there's an event coming up, at least it opens up the opportunity to our students to get involved and engage in music. So, and we go out to perform, and we are also sharing the music with the community. So I think that's some of the involvement, at least on my part, in ensemble. It's not easy, that I must say, but then I think what I try to do is, you don't have to do everything every day. There are certain times when you do something. It's like research, for example. Lecturers might say, oh, I don't have time to do research because I'm in an administrative post, I'm teaching, etc. Nobody is asking you to do research every single day or write 20 articles a year. So, for example, it's all about time management, because if you're not going to find the time, it's not going to happen. And if you say you have passion, you have to find the time, because if not, it will never happen. Yeah, and then also, it's not only the gamelan which I'm involved in, because for example, I'm also the president of the Malaysian Marching Band Association. So I need to keep that part going. As I said tadi, your service to the community and to the field, that one needs to go concurrently, because after all, it is related to our job. So I don't feel at it as if it's all separated. Yeah, so you have to make time. When it's during the semester, okay, maybe your focus is more on the teaching. When it's not the semester break, okay, maybe you go towards your research, etc. And there will be times, of course, when all fails, because for example, for me, I'm holding a position at the university level. So when the VC or the deputy vice chancellor wants to see you, she wants to see you, or he wants to see you. That's it. You have to drop everything. Maybe. Yeah. So this is that kind of thing that you have to. For me, it's just a matter of managing your time and managing your priorities. So if, for example, recently I got another position. So I'm the president of the Southeast Asia Directors of Music Association. Yeah. So okay, you're adding more things to your portfolio, and then sometimes you get, okay, can you be examiner for this? Can you be an examiner for that? So, it's, as I said, if you don't take those challenges, you will not develop yourself. And you need also to remember that we have to be known in our field, because we cannot just be known within our faculty and no one else knows ourselves out there. So all these are very important. So as I said, managing priorities and managing time, I think, would be two very important things for me. I guess I could say that my philosophy is to be able to execute my roles and responsibilities as good as I can, and to try to help support the vision and mission of the university through whatever role that I have, be it as a professor, be it as an administrator, or be it as an educator, whichever. And I will do it to the best of my ability, to try to bring forth and contribute whatever I need, and not only for the university for that matter, but also to the students, because after all, we are here to educate the students. we wouldn't be here if we didn't have any students. So I think it's my philosophy to help the students, for them to be able to acquire the knowledge and the skills in whatever field that they have chosen, and to be able to give them some kind of some kind of a future, a job future also. So I think that basically is a part of my philosophy. Maybe not totally, but a part of it. Thankfully, I'm not somebody who is easily stressed. I take things as they come. But then again, I'm talking about myself, so I can't give the same. Probably I may not be able to give the same tip to others as well. But I think what you need to be able to do is, first and foremost, you must understand your roles and responsibility in whatever position that you are in at the university. Yeah, and then of course, then again, I guess it goes back to having to trying to prioritize what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. So priority and time management is very important. As I said, when the university expects an academician to do research, for example, they are not necessarily expecting you to do 20 publications a year. It might be just one. So there is something still doable if you manage your time very well. Yeah, but so that's what to me, that's the thing. That's the advice that I would give to a young and upcoming academician, or anybody for that matter, that they need to understand their roles and responsibility in the university, and they try to execute that to the best of their potential, and not just come here, makan gaji, go back, etc. The faculty needs to continue growing in many aspects to me. Okay, now, if you talk about the purpose of us being in a university, which is offered to be able to offer an education to students in the different music fields, I think one thing that the faculty needs to do is to look at future-ready type of music programs. Mainstream ones are okay, the ones that we are offering now. But in the future, the expected attributes of a graduate is going to be multi-skilled. It might not help them if they're coming out with only one skill. Yeah, so we have to start looking at multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary type of programs that that expose them to the different types of skills that they might need in their future career. Yeah, in that sense also, so they have to make their curriculum and their programs very attractive. And also it has to encapsulate all the developments that are going on right now. For example, IR 4.0. For example, the concept of adab that UiTM has introduced in its teaching delivery. Yeah, so that is very important. But at the same time also, we have a long way to go when it comes to research, publication, innovation, and creation. There's so many things that we can do, that we just have to try to focus on how we are going to go about it. Yeah, and not only that, as I said, there's so many other things. For example, in our service, organizing concerts and all that is fine. We still need to continue with that. But what more can we do? Yeah, what more can we do? For example, to share with the community, to develop the field, and to be the pioneers in new developments and innovations in the field. Because after all, we were the first institution to offer music, and right now there's so many mushrooming, whether be it private or public. So, but even putting all that aside, we need to think about what the future needs. Okay, because right now is technology. So can we sustain if we just keep on continuing offering mainstream programs, for example? Yeah, I'm not saying it's not important, don't get me wrong, but what more can you do, for example, to infuse all these different elements so that when they go out, they are multi-skilled, and also to have the correct attributes that the employers are looking for. For example, good communication skills, learning, the interest in learning, lifelong learning. Even if you couldn't play an instrument as well, if you had that learning, the desire to learn, that is already an attitude which they are looking for. So it's those kind of things that we really have to try to build in our students. So that itself is quite a challenge for me. So that's why I said, for me, I think this is where the faculty needs to grow at least. if anything, if they can't go in so many areas at one time, maybe just focus on academic matters, because after all, that is why we are here. Yeah, that is our core business is education, and so we have to look at that. We have to look at the type of students we want, graduates that we want to produce, and how are we going to realize that via the curriculum and the programs that we offer. So I think that would be one of the main things that I would suggest. Following that is the dissemination of knowledge via research, publication, innovations, and creations. Yeah, new knowledge, not old knowledge regurgitating itself.